the end of every month, on the last Tuesday of every month, I share with you the things that I have been making through that month. So we are now at the end of March, and I have quite a few things to share with you, quite a lot of selfless making plans that I will talk to you as we go through. I hope you've had a nice month. I hope you've had some time to do some crafting if that's what you like to do. I'm assuming you do if you're watching this video. So let's get started. We shall start with knitting. Now I am knitting the Poppy Jumper by Susan Crawford, and let me get the pattern out. I'll get the pattern first to show you. There it is. So it's a really nice little jumper with short sleeves, although I'm going to lengthening them hopefully to 3/4. And the yoke detail is on the front and back, but I'm just doing it on the front. So I have worked the front completely, which I shall show you. Here it is, completed. And it's going to fit quite nicely, I think. There you go. I did block it because I wanted to make sure it would fit me, because it did look a bit small when it came off the needles, and also I forgot to go up a needle size to do the the patterny bit, and I was worried it might be a bit tight, but because I'm trying to knit with both hands when I'm doing colour work, it seems to keep it nice and loose. So I was happy with that. And I did start doing the ribbing. Well, I finished the ribbing on the back, and I went a bit wrong because this is twisted rib, and that looks nice and neat. And I have been keeping notes in my notebook, but I just, in my notebook, I put how many rows of ribbing I needed to do to get the 3 inches or whatever they asked for. And then it was just a knit 1 purl 1 rib, and I didn't mention it was twisted rib, so I did the whole of the ribbing for the back just normal, and then realised and then I thought, oh, well, no one will notice, maybe I'll just carry on. But there is a real difference, I think. I don't know if you'll be able to see. That's the twisted rib. Let's see if I can do this. I don't think you can really tell, but this is so much neater, the twisted rib, than just the normal rib. So it's all got to come out. So I have put this to one side for a little while, because when you go wrong and you've done quite a few stitches, you get a bit fed up, don't you? And then you think, right, I'm just put it to one side. And the yarn I'm using for this is the Cole Merino Blend 4-ply. It's lovely and soft, and this colour is biscuit, and then the colours for the yoke detail are chocolate, ivy, cranberry and blossom, and they're really pretty. I think they all go nicely in that. So I am looking forward to working on it a bit more, and it'll be a nice jumper to wear in the spring and possibly the summer for Wales. So I do want to get it finished, but I just put it to one side when I went wrong. It's my own fault because I didn't look at the pattern, I just looked at my notes, and my notes weren't detailed enough. My next knitting project is a project that I was requested to make, and I want to thank everyone on Instagram who helped me out with this project. My daughter sent me a picture of her friend's daughter with a little blanket over her, and my daughter's friend is expecting a baby, and she asked Jody, would your mum be able to make this blanket for me in blue? And I didn't have a clue. She didn't have any information on the blanket. The lady that made it for her has sadly passed away. So she didn't know anything about it, and I didn't have a clue. about what the pattern was or what the yarn was or anything. So I put a picture on Instagram. You lovely people helped me. You told me what the stitch was, which was basket weave, and also I got some recommendations of patterns for baby blankets with the basket weave pattern in it, and also you told me that it was a chenille yarn, so I hadn't worked with that before. I just looked at the picture and I didn't have a clue, so I thank you everyone who helped, and thank you for the pattern suggestions. But I did actually find a pattern online, and it's a free pattern, and it's called the Chunky Basket Weave Baby Blanket, and it's from peachunicorndesigns.com. And I only have this sort of scrumpled up paper print off. It's a really simple pattern. Basically, as it's a free pattern, I can tell you, you cast on a certain number of stitches depending on what size blanket you want, and then you can also choose the number of stitches depending on what yarn you're using, and then you do six rows knit 4 purl 4, and then you do 6 rows purl 4 knit 4, and that's what makes the basket weave pattern. And so this is what I have done so far. And now can you see the basket weave? It's obviously on circular needles because it's quite wide and the yarn is very thick and soft. And it's all right working on it now, but when I first cast it on, it was quite hard work. But now I've got a bit of fabric underneath to sort of hold on to. It's going all right. And Jodie has sent a picture to her friend, and she said it's perfect. It's just what she wanted. And at the time I started making it, she was hoping for a boy, but she didn't know whether she was having one. But it has been confirmed she is having a boy, so we're all pleased about that. And I'm using the Cygnet Chenille Chunky yarn there, and it's the colourway Skye. I bought it from Wool Warehouse and it's being discontinued, so they had 12 balls and I needed, I think I needed 7 for this pattern, but the yarn that they said to use and the needle size, they said to use an 8mm needle, and this says to use a 6, so I needed to buy a couple of extra balls just in case, and they had 12 balls left in Wool Warehouse, and I bought all 12 just to be on the safe side. So there are none left in Wool Warehouse, but I'm sure if you want some, you'll be able to buy it somewhere else. It's lovely and soft, and it's quite light, so it's going to be a nice baby blanket. And the baby, I think this baby's due in September. Jodie's got 2 friends with babies due, one in August I think and one in September, so it'll be coming into the cooler time of year again. My next project is a new project, and it is crochet, and this is a selfless make as well because it is another request. So I am returning to the much loved Pokemon Crochet book, and this is by Sabrina Somers, and I have made a few of these patterns. I have made the Gengar and the Pikachu, and Harry now, he's got his little label so that I don't pick the wrong pattern. Well, Harry, he's written in there, and he wants a Charizard. So there it is. And he was over the other day and he has chosen the colours for from my acrylic yarn stash. I think it's mostly, it's all cheap yarn. It's probably Stylecraft and a mix of things that I've gathered over the years. And I'm using a 4mm hook, and so far I have done his body, and you can see the stuffing through it, but there's quite a lot of detail on the pattern, so you've got to put like his tummy is a separate piece, and then he's got wings and legs, so I think you're going to hide a lot of the body. I used a 4mm hook, and I think maybe I should have used a smaller one to make it tighter, but I quite like a 4mm hook. It gets a bit difficult if it's much, I find it quite hard on my hands if it's a much thinner hook, and I'm only using one of these cheapy ones, and I hold my hook like that. I have seen people hold it like that, like a pen, but I hold it more like a knife, and I get cramp if there's not much to grip hold of. So when I go to Wonderwall the end of April, I may well buy myself a couple more chunky crochet hooks. And then, so I'm working on that for him, so he's very excited about that. And Jack, my younger grandson, has already put an order in for the Pokemon he wants when I finish Harry, so no doubt after this one I shall be making another. And this month I actually have some cross stitch to show you. Several months ago I showed you this pattern, and it is a cross stitch pattern from Home Bargains. It's by Crafty Things, and it's an alphabet cross stitch sampler, and it fits an 8 by 10 inch frame. And I took this project to work, and I would, in my lunch break, I would sew just 1 or 2 threads each lunch break. So it took me quite a long time, but it's quite a nice project to do because you can do just one little animal at a time, so it's not too daunting. And here's mine all finished. So I'm really pleased with it, and it was $1.99, so it was such a good, I think a good project, such a good bargain. I did run out of the three of the threads, and that was the cream, the brown, and the sort of duck egg. So a couple of the things here that needed brown is a different brown. I tried to match it. Obviously cream was easy, and I happened to have the exact same duck egg in my stash thanks to my sister-in-law Janine, who sent me loads of cross-stitch threads well, a year or two, maybe even more now ago, and I've just kept them all. So I've bought a frame, so I'm going to put that in the frame, and then it'll be a fully finished object, won't it? But at the moment I was just really pleased. I'm a bit scared to wash it just in case the colours run because they were cheap threads, but I will just try and press it, I think, on the back, and I've got some of that spray that helps take out any creases. Maybe I'll put a bit of that on, but I'm just worried if I wash it and the colours run, I'd be quite upset, because although it was very cheap, it took a long time to do. So that's going to go in the grandson's bedroom here at our house for when they come over. So I'm looking forward to finishing that. And on to sewing. I have been doing quite a bit of sewing at the over the last month. I made the Sky dress by Tilly and the Buttons last month that I showed you, and I just needed to hem it. So I did promise I'd put a picture in of me wearing it. So I made this out of a quilt cover. I made size 5. Now I think when I make it again, I'll need to make it a size 4, and I need to drop the bodice front a little bit, make it a bit longer, because it's an empire line and it doesn't finish under my boobs. It's just above, and you can't really tell with this fabric because it's quite busy, but I would like to lengthen it a little bit. I really like it. It's got bound seams around the neckline and the armholes, and lovely deep pockets, and I think as well I need to make it in a drapier fabric. So this quilt I think must be polycotton, and it doesn't really drape, but it feels nice on, and I think it will feel lovely and cool in the summer. But I do think I should lengthen the bodice so that the empire line fits under the bust rather than 2/3 of the way down. And I asked Martin to take some photos. So this is what it should look like. And then I shall probably have already inserted some photos of me wearing it. I don't like having my photo taken, and here I am videoing myself and also taking photographs of myself. So I don't know why I'm doing it to myself, but here we are. I like to meet all of you, and I like to have the comments and things. It's a lovely community, the crafty community, and everyone's so positive that it's still enjoyable, even though I don't like looking at myself. My next sewing project is another request. Now, a friend of mine in work, and I'm going to have to look at this so that I make sure I get this right. She is in the Rugby League ladies team for Wales. And she's very proud of that fact, and so she should be, because she works really hard. She trains before she comes into work, she trains after work, and she goes to the gym, and she's really fit and very dedicated. But she would like me to make her a bucket hat, but it's called a boonie. Apparently these boonie hats, they look to me a bit like those Australian hats, you know, with the corks. So she said, could I make her a bucket hat and make it out, drop the pattern then, make it out of the shorts that she got for playing in the Welsh team. And so she wanted it to incorporate that badge, and then also there's embroidery. She'd like that on there, and there it is again. There's quite a bit of fabric in here, so I'm going to unpick all the shorts to get the fabric, and the pattern I am using is a free pattern from Spoonflower, and I have made, where did I put them? Oh, down here. I have made a couple of prototypes so that I could take them into work and she could try them on. So the idea is you make an outer, and then exactly the same as an inner, and then obviously you'd put the one inside the other for a lining, like that. And then your lining is stitched around the rim. You have lots of rows of stitching. So she tried this on, she was happy with the size. Now, it is a free pattern and it's template pieces, so it's very simple, but I did get a little bit confused because the instructions weren't that clear, and I wasn't sure if it meant, the way it was worded, I didn't know if they meant that you had to add a seam allowance or not. So I made a couple of toiles, and well, these are toiles, but the first one I made, I added the seam allowance that they said it needed, and it was far too big. The pattern pieces themselves look quite small, so it didn't look too bad, but when I sewed it up, it was way too big. So if you do this pattern, if you do it yourself and you're a little bit confused as to whether it means add on your seam allowance, no, you don't. The seam allowance is already in the pattern. So she has asked for the outer to be made of the shorts, and then she would like a red lining to go with this badge, and then she would like some gold top stitching for the rim and the other stitching that you put up the sides, and there we are, the stitching there. So I'm going to have to be very careful to get my stitching really neat. And I have ordered some red cotton drill and some gold Gutterman's top stitching thread from a company called Always Knitting and Sewing. I haven't used those before, but it's on its way. I was hoping maybe it'd be here today so I could show you, but it's not. As soon as that's here, I'll be working on that, because I know she'll start nagging me to get them done. But so the bucket hat will be nice for in the summer when she goes training and things, that she can wear a hat. And I will ask if she'll take a photo with it on and put it on here. I have got two photos in this video, one of the little girl in the blanket and one of my friend playing rugby, and I have asked their permission that I could put them on this video. I wouldn't ever put anyone's photo on here without asking permission first, but they did agree. So I shall ask her again then when I finish the hat to model it, and you can see what kind of fit it is and how well I did with using the shorts. And last but not least, I am sewing a pattern for myself. Now, as I said last episode, I am going on holiday with Martin to Lanzarote in July, and I'd like to try and make a few things myself. Now, I was going to make some trousers with a very strange pattern, and I bought the fabric, but I've decided that fabric is a little bit too rustly, I think, for those trousers. So I'm going to make another dress out of that fabric and get something else for the trousers. So I've put that on the back burner for now, but I have started making this dress. And it's the Gathered Sundress from Pattern Runway, and it's another free pattern that you had to download and then stick together a PDF. But what I tend to do, I've got a nice big picture window going out into my conservatory, and I stick all the pieces on there to line them all up, and I just find it much easier to do that. And then once I've stuck them all together, I can take it down and cut the individual pieces out. Now, these instructions, unlike the Tilly and the Buttons instructions that are very detailed with photos and hold your hand all the way, these are very basic instructions, and to be fair, it's a free pattern, so what do you expect really? But I have been scratching my head on a few of them, and I did make toiles again, so I'm doing very good with making these toiles. So the first one I did just straight from the packet, so to speak. I did my measurements, and according to my measurements, I was near enough the largest size on this pattern, which is a 44. And that was in centimetres. My bust, full bust, is 95 centimetres. My waist is 84, and my hips are 107. Now this said that the largest size, the bust was 100, and the waist was 82, and the hips were 106. So I thought, well, that is nearest to my measurements, and they don't have finished garment measurements other than length, which is no help to you at all really, is it? So I thought, well, I'll make a toile. So I made the toile, the first one, and it was way too big. And it was also the straps. I always get this, the straps were a little bit too far over. So in my next toile, I took out ½ inch from the front and back neck to bring these straps in a little bit. And I took my upper bust measurement, which was 89 centimetres, which was nearer the second size on the chart, which was 38. So there's five sizes altogether. So my upper bust fitted the second size, and the rest of me fitted the 5th size. So I adjusted my pattern to grade it out from a 38 and then to a 44 in the waist, and I tried that back on, and that was much better. So then I went ahead and I've started making it in my fabric. Now this fabric I've had in my stash for ages. It's only a quilting cotton. I bought it when I first started sewing, and I just bought all the patterns all the patterned fabric that I found really pretty, and I really like this. It's got caravans on it and sunny holidays, so I thought, how perfect would this be? And you line it, and I had some lining. It's a nylon-y lining in my stash, so hopefully it won't be too sticky. You just line the front, you line the bodice and not the skirt. And if I show you the pattern again, the thing I really liked about this skirt are those inset pockets, and then you have a little bit of gathering, and it's princess seams, and it's just a really nice style. So I have tried it on. I've got everything cut out to finish the skirt, and if I wasn't podcasting I would have finished that today, but I thought I'd better film this instead. And then you put a side zip. Well, I don't think I've ever put a side zip in before, and I haven't lined a bodice before either, so it's going well. And all the other pieces are here on the side because you're balanced on my ironing board. So that's everything I've been working on this month. Please let me know in the comments below what you've been working on. And so there's quite a lot of selfless making there, I think. But that is the joy, isn't it? I was in work the other day with my friend who wanted me to do the bucket hat. And she said, could you make that? And I said, yes, there's no problem. And I said, oh, I'm making the Charizard for Harry at the moment. And she said, isn't it cool being able to make stuff? And I think, yes, actually, it is really cool. It's just really enjoyable. I like the fact that you can make, within reason, anything you want. You can, if you see a skirt when you're out shopping and you like it but you don't like the zip, or you like it but you don't like the pockets, or you can just make it exactly how you want it. And I can also make things for other people, which I think I enjoy more than making for myself, because it's just a pleasure to make things for people and see their appreciation when you pass them over to them. Anyway, that being said, that's everything I've made, and I shall see you all at the end of April. We have Wonderwool in April, so I'm really looking forward to that. I had some birthday money in February that I've been saving especially to go. I have no plans really of getting any yarn or anything this time for any specific project. I do want to get some crochet hooks, and I also fancy doing a punch needle project, so maybe I'll get a small kit or something of that to see how well I can do with that. But whatever I buy, I will share on here. And if you're going to Wonderwool, let me know. We are meeting up. There's a few people meeting up already, and I'm getting really excited about that. I don't think I'll vlog there because I'm sure there'll be plenty of other people doing that. I have done it in the past, but it gets in the way of your enjoyment. So I'm being a bit selfish. Just going to go with my friend and enjoy the day. I will take some photos of the people I meet up with and maybe some of the stalls and things, just to give you an idea of the yarn festival itself. But I don't think I will do a vlog. I certainly wouldn't speak to you on here out in the wilds because I'd be far too embarrassed. But anyway, have a lovely month. Enjoy April. Hopefully the clocks have gone forward now, haven't they? So the nights are getting longer and summer is on its way. So take care, and I shall see you in a few weeks' time. Bye.